This is an experiment. It's our first go at offering worship in this way. We'll get better at it. Today we can thank God that worship can be real and authentic, even if it isn't slick. These are strange times. Our church is shut. Only people who need to be here can come here. Tony, our organist, comes here to practice. Mary, his wife, is often with him. James, our session clerk, occasionally comes into the office. I'm very occasionally in and out. Today, we're all here at the same time, but we're not really together, and nobody else can be in here. Yet we and you watching this are together in a different, deeper way. God isn't bothered by distance or distancing. We worship in God, and even distanced and apart, we can share that. Using the distance in a big, empty, closed church building, not coming within 10 feet of each other, not touching surfaces, sanitizing our hands. These things don't come easily or naturally, but we know how utterly crucial they are. You'll see us doing them. Please, 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 do them too. Don't risk your own health or those of others. And so, I wash my hands in innocence. Go about your altar, O Lord, singing a song of thanksgiving and telling all your wondrous deeds. Let us worship God.
Let us pray. These are such strange times. Everything looks the same, but everything feels different. 5 letters, a dash, 2 numbers. They fill our thoughts and our horizons. But not everything is COVID-19. Forgive us, Lord. Our own concerns, our own anxieties have too often crowded out of our minds and imaginations what others have to live with. We have not seen their insecurity. We have not tried to imagine their lives. We have not had compassion because we did not notice. Lord, have mercy upon us. Christ, have mercy upon us. Lord, have mercy upon us. Forgive us, Lord. We have shifted so quickly from complacency to fear. Our fears may fill our sight and our mind, but the things we fear do not fill the world. Strengthen our faith, but it is weak. Darkness we take as real, and light as illusion. But you, God, sit with us through the night, and bring us through to the dawn and dispelling of the shadows. Be light in our darkness, and kindle in us anew your hope to share with all the world.
next reading is from the first book of Samuel. It comes from a community whose actual existence is threatened, surrounded by hostile peoples with superior Iron Age technology. These Bronze Age tribes who'd never been able to find the cooperation, let alone the unity they needed for any length of time, had tried the experiment of appointing a king. Saul had seemed ideal, but the pressure got to him. He lost his grip. He became cruel, paranoid, mistrustful of the people around him. And even for people further away, the unease and the fear got to them. So when the titanic figure of Samuel, prophet, judge, national leader, shows up in the town, if you could call it a town, of Bethlehem, all the uncertainty and the strangeness and the anxiety of this eerie and unsettled time seemed to gather around him. What's he here for? Shalom, asked the elders of Bethlehem. Is it peace? Or since the Hebrew word shalom actually means wholeness, completeness, is everything okay? Is everything all right? The fact that they're asking shows that they don't think it is. But Samuel just answers, Shalom, it's okay. Everything's as it should be. All the bits are in place. Everything's all right. How can these frightened people possibly believe that? And yet, they do.
First reading is from 1 Samuel chapter 16 verses 1 through to 5. The Lord said to Samuel, "How long will you grieve over Saul? I have rejected him from being king over Israel. Fill your horn with oil and set out. I will send you to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided for myself a king among his sons." Samuel said, "How can I go? If Saul hears of it, he will kill me." And the Lord said, "Take a heifer with you and say, 'I have come to sacrifice to the Lord.' Invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what you shall do. And he shall anoint for me the one whom I name to you." Samuel did what the Lord commanded and came to Bethlehem. The elders of the city came to meet him trembling and said, "Did you come peaceably?" He said, "Peaceably? I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Sanctify yourselves and come with me to the sacrifice." And he sanctified Jesse and his sons and invited them to the sacrifice.
There's a pattern in this ancient story. It's to do with the people whose life, for whom life, the world, everything has become eerily different. We know about that pattern. Patterns are terribly important to understanding how Scripture works. These profoundly human books of Holy Scripture explore the patterns of understanding which are common to us as human beings, even distanced by 3,000 years and thousands of miles. In one very particular way, the elders of Bethlehem are us, and we are them. Everything is unsettled. The world is made strange. Ain't that the truth? Here I am talking to you in an empty church. Suddenly, as we sit at home and look out through the window, the difference between in here and out there can freak us out. We're all desperate to hear somebody say, "It's okay, everything's all right, we'll get through this, it'll pass." But how would we trust them? How would we believe them if they did? Why would the elders of Bethlehem trust Samuel when he comes to them in a world gone mad and says, "Shalom, everything's okay, everything will be okay"? The American scholar Peter Berger, in his very significant book, A Rumour of Angels, takes up the same question in a different and, if anything, more universally human way. It's a passage I keep coming back to again and again, and every time it makes me think. It's also a powerful reminder that today is Mothering Sunday, an exploration of what the big human experience of having as well as being a mother really is. And it asks the big question, why should we trust reassurance? A child wakes up in the night, perhaps from a bad dream, finds himself surrounded by darkness, alone, beset by nameless threats. At such a moment, the The contours of trusted reality are blurred or invisible, and the child cries out for his mother. It's hardly an exaggeration to say that at this moment, the mother is being invoked as a high priestess of protective order. It is she, and in many cases she alone, who has the power to banish the chaos and to restore the benign shape of the world. And of course, any mother, any good mother will do just that. She will take the child and cradle him. She will turn on a lamp, perhaps, which will encircle the scene with a warm glow of reassuring light. She will speak or sing to the child, "Don't be afraid. Everything is in order. Everything is all right." The child will be reassured, his trust in reality recovered. In this trust, he will return to sleep. Now, this common scene raises a far from ordinary question which immediately introduces a religious dimension. Is the mother lying to the child? If natural is the only reality there is, the mother is lying to the child, lying out of love, to be sure, and obviously not lying to the extent that her reassurance isn't grounded in this fact of love, but in the final analysis, lying all the same. The final truth would be not love, but terror, not darkness, but light, not light, but darkness. The nightmare of chaos, not the transitory safety of order, would be the final reality of the human situation. And yet, says Berger, whether they believe it or not, every parent takes upon himself the representation of a universe that is ultimately in order and ultimately trustworthy, within which we are born and love and die. This is not the only world, but only the foreground of another world, in which love is not annihilated in death, and in which, therefore, the trust in the power of love to banish chaos is justified. It's odd, isn't it? The sternly paternal Samuel is suddenly in a mothering role. He holds and reassures the people of the community, the elders of Bethlehem. He mothers them. Shalom. Whatever it feels like, however odd and frightening, everything's okay. In other words, Samuel bears witness to a truth, a reality beyond himself. And so does every mother who says to a child, "Shh, it's all right, it's okay." In fact, the mother gets closer to the heart of it than the judge, prophet, and national leader. Out of meaninglessness comes meaning. Meaninglessness comes first, and out of it the making and the discovery of meaning. And that's another pattern. It's there in the poetry and myth of a world, again, unimaginably different to ours. Chaos comes first, and out of chaos comes order and meaning. And the production of order and meaning out of chaos, the shaping, the struggling, the wrestling with shapeless, stupid, brute meaninglessness is hard, hard work. According to Genesis, even God had to take a break after it. So meaning isn't just something that we understand. Meaning is why we live the way we do, why we struggle to make as well as find meaning in life, or how people give up because they can't make anything mean anything. Meaning is both more and less than understanding. Less because, well, sometimes we just don't understand why this happened to me, why this happened to somebody I love, how such things can happen in a world like this. More than understanding, because we sometimes sense, we intuit, meaning we can't grasp. We struggle with challenges to the way we see the world, the way we always saw ourselves. I know that my life can't mean that anymore. So what can it mean? Is this what it's about now? So in today's Gospel reading, Jesus and his disciples are just walking along, as you do. Well, at least as we used to before we had to be a lot more careful. And that's the cue for me to sanitize again. This is really serious. Let's not mock it. And yet, let's make it a part of our lives too. So, Jesus and his disciples are walking around. They meet somebody. And the disciples are completely rocked back. They're challenged by who and what this person is to them. He's blind. And that seems to be a huge problem for them. Not for him. He's managing his life. For them, what does it mean to be blind? What can it mean never to have seen? How is he different to them that he has to live with this and they don't? So these sighted people, these disciples, they're completely thrown by this. And the best they can come up with is, whose fault was this? This man can't just be meaninglessly blind. There must be a meaning, a simple, graspable meaning to this. That's it. It's somebody's fault. Somebody sinned. Either he deserved this or somebody else deserved it on his behalf. And that last bit's not just meaningless, it's eye-rolling, like it's stupid. And Jesus says, well, let's hear what Jesus says.
Gospel reading is from John chapter 9, verses 1 through to 7. As he walked along, he saw a man blind from birth. His disciples asked him, Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Jesus answered, neither this man nor his parents sinned. He was born blind so that God's works might be revealed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world. When he had said this, he spat on the ground and made mud with the saliva and spread the mud on the man's eyes, saying to him, Go wash in the pool of Siloam, which means sent. Then he went and washed, came back able to see. He was born blind so that God's works might be revealed in him. May God bless these words.
So, we get that completely wrong if we think that it means all of this was arranged before this guy was born so that the miracle I'm now about to do could be performed and everybody could be terribly impressed. It's the reverse of that. Stuff happens. People are born, people live in the world with things that are chaotic, inhibiting, a challenge to meaning. They learn to live with them. They learn to cope. This man has. But it's all too much for the disciples. And Jesus says to them, you're looking in the wrong place. You're starting at the wrong end. You're asking about what caused this. But stuff like this just happens. It's what comes out of it that tells you its meaning. This guy is made meaning in his life by living it. It's that, and it's the totally unexpected meaning that's about to come out of it, that God's going to bring out of it. Now don't get hung up on this looking like a miracle story. That might or might not be a problem to you, but it's the pattern that's crucial. That's why John calls these things signs. It's the shape of the story. It's just like creation, meaningless, meaning out of chaos. Some sense and the promise of more to come out of nonsense, out of absurd facts and absurd circumstances, comes that which is unexpected, unforeseeable, a new reality that coexists with the old one and makes it mean something. And that's where God is. is a virus, a nasty one. It attacks organisms, people in this case, because that's what it does. It's a virus. It doesn't mean anything. But out of it comes meaning. There's difficult, even tragic meaning. Illness, death, grief. What it means to be human, frail, mortal. Meaning challenged by meaninglessness, but challenging it too. There's the meaning that comes as questions more than answers. What have we become as societies? What does all this mean? What does it say about the things we've just accepted, never thought about in our communal social living? How do we treat each other? Where do we go from here? But there's other meaning too. There's self-sacrificing devotion to care and principle and duty. 5 doctors died in Italy because they wouldn't stop being doctors. And there's neighbourly concern. Even having to stay away from people we love, having to avoid the almost reflex gestures, a handshake, a hug, having to sanitize. There you go. These are considerate things, and they make us rethink what consideration is, because it's not automatic anymore. These things are to do with meaning, with the experience of finding it unexpectedly, with the experience of looking for it and not being able to find it, but not giving up the quest. Why? Why would we do that? Why would we keep looking? Why, if not, and this is Peter Berger's point, if not at some profound level of our being, meaning isn't just in our heads or our communal practice or the convention of our social lives. If we believe that in some sense meaning is out there, it's real. If we believe that at a profound level, under and behind and beyond the world that gives us so many challenges, even such disappointment and frustration and pain, everything still means something, or should, and shall, if we bear with it. We can only start from where we are. That's what Jesus says to the disciples in today's gospel reading. You can't start with your comforting ideas of why that person had to face hard things and you're exempt, just as he couldn't start with the despairing questions about why me? Why did this happen to me? Stuff happens. The important thing is what happens next. Here's a thought. Try reading the story of Holy Week in the light of that insight. Jesus himself wrestling with meaninglessness to produce meaning out of it. And it feels increasingly like a losing battle. The crowd that welcomes him on the Sunday